Welcome everyone to more live toolchain development here. Previously I would have sitting here now, it's like, why is this stuff broken again? Let's set it up on fire and burn it all down. But we want to be more positive here, so yay, more Rust cargo, Rust LLVM Clang complications. That is a win-win for us because the more is broken and somehow not just working upstream, the more people will use our increasingly successful Shy Linux based T2 Linux here, and people pay $8 for this amazing just raw fixed toolchain build system. So what happened now? I mean, ideally I wanted to have T2's 2210 release released until last day of October, which we already passed 2 weeks because yay, so much stuff is broken. And the usual, we fix one thing or improve one thing, previous video, right? ARM, hard, soft, float, ABI and stuff. And then it's like, mwah, mwah, mwah. Of course, you're not getting Rust, LLVM and Clang with it. So initially, so what's happening here? As per our previous improvements of up to 40% improved performance for ARM, for reasons, floating point ABI and stuff, we now build this more complete hard float ABI because performance, and the only substitute for performance is more performance. And now Rust doesn't link. And so it links precisely not with that. Here this internally built in this Rust, just Rust build files here use vector floating point register arguments, and that file here does not. So I debugged this already, so this will be an hour long. The recurring theme here, right, takes hours to fix of log. Why do we made T2, basically we made T2, this increasingly amazing distribution. We make T2 so nice, you soon cannot afford it anymore, and we need to charge $8 for that experience, for this verified experience. And I debugged this already some minutes yesterday, and it turned out, at first I thought, nah, this Rust stuff is usual, right? They need to reinvent the wheel to break it, but maybe this time it's also Clang or some other configuration marginalities to blame, because then I noticed that if we want to build something with Clang now, like some Hello World, this also doesn't work. Misc archive Hello World, so that fails the same way. So maybe this is not Rust itself, because I already saw me debugging through this Rust stuff, which is also usually not the best experience. And this is the recurring annoyance. I pointed this out before, not only Rust, complexities and copy target definition, but also Clang and all this hard-coded Clang, GNU, paths and driver stuff. And I mean, the only win-win of this Rust breakage is we also got to fix some Clang. I guess what's happening here is Clang is compiling this stuff, this Hello World, C application, and that temp file there, as is hello 93EA320, uses hard float, which it should. But so I guess maybe in the end it's even linker default actually. So maybe it's not even Clang as it. Maybe we actually end up ourselves patching some bin utils. So I suspect Rust and Clang generate the specified ARM version 7-A full application processor, hard float ABI, and also complexities, right? x86, PowerPC MIPS, RISC-V, and the breakage is endless, right? The only constant is change. So maybe it's even GCC passing an extra argument to LD of, hey, generate hard float binaries, and Clang and Rust do not. So it's basically the summary. I only pointed, so this is basically the overhead of doing a YouTube video, right? Alone here in my home study, I would just debug away on this, but live on YouTube I had to give you a 7-minute summary. Cheers. So let's get started and try to fix this. How do we debug this? We could start with, so this, for example, tracing what additional arguments GCC passes to the linker. And then if that is the case, probably patch or configure the binutils LD default linker there. We could also directly unpack the binutils sources and take a look at that directly. But often I found this is also easier or waste of time. It's always, I usually recommend to really figure out what's going on. So that would be ARM. Also, we have another issue, a second similar related issue. I built 2 ARM builds now because T2 becoming so sought after or new users that we got a request, but do you have ARM version 5 binaries? And it's like, yeah, of course. This is how all this started, right? Just some users like, hey, can we have good old-fashioned vintage retro ARM v5 binaries? And of course you can, accept it's hard for it's broken. But so the similar thing is, or not similar, but Rust broken, differently Rust broken is all these target definitions here. So for ARM version 5, we actually also need to add a ARM, and that is here the, what is it, MD or so? Was it platform support Rust? No, it was not MD, I think at least. Should it be this? I thought it's slightly different. Anyway, so the thing is with ARM 5, we don't have a ARM 5 unknown Linux GNU ABI there. I'm not sure if it's exactly that. It might be slightly, but something similar to that. Actually, we could check that. Maybe it's actually that. The crazy thing is also, oh no, it is not that. That is, of course, just the documentation. Oh, wait, it's also Rust, of course. How did that happen? Because I was already surprised about the path there. So somewhere there are some definitions of, oh, I think this. So the spec files here, and that is also my criticism, right? I said this before. It is crazy, and all those files, what all those Rust modules here do is defining the arch triplet things here. It's totally repetitive, right? They are basically all the same, just encoding the feature variants of version 6 versus version 7 and all the vector floating point and neon stuff. And totally repetitive, and then some are missing, right? You build for ARM version 5 thumb, and then they're not there. And then totally crazy, they have here, I only saw this yesterday, they also have their thumb variants, right? So I have to wonder, because those probably have some disabled, I saw there. Why is this not spec? Somehow this is, this is because it is. Also, I have here some Wi-Fi latency. I'm live streaming from ARM64 to the Ryzen. So I've just, it's, why do I usually run wired? I just don't have enough dongles here at home right now. This Wi-Fi latency is also disturbing me. Like if my typing is already 100, it's like, yeah. So thumb. So there are multiple definitions of thumb stuff, and that is totally crazy. I've never seen that before, right? This is for me not a normal arch triplet. So I wonder how much additional nonsense I have to patch if I wanted to support this additional thumb flavors. But why we digress. Let's try to build this Clang stuff here. And so I would suspect that building with ARM version 7 T2 GCC should obviously work. And it does. And what does, so that says here we have 5 that does not further encode that though. But fine is of course just a quick magic guessing thing. Read elf a, so that is 7a, version 7, sum 2. Should it not have ABI? Should it not somewhere have VFP? Let's use Clang and see if we build Clang, if we compile that, and then GCC, does it work with no other file name? Oh, that is interesting. So we might still not fully... So there's the thing, this GCC stuff is actually not using the hard float stuff. So more you double check. So actually, and we have previous video, right? I was surprised to find this hard float ABI stuff, and then Clang, to my surprise, usually it's the other way around, but in this case, and this is also why I criticize this Arch triplet stuff, because for me it's like having compiler, having ABI options and stuff, and then like some stuff is done with C flags, compiler arguments, other stuff is Arch triplet. So there are so many stuff, instead of like specifying it in one place or with, for me, just compiler arguments, we have so many different ways, and then some things are silently misconfigured differently than others. So yeah, the more we test, why, but then the question is, and I have still like share, like, and subscribe, I still have benchmarking this ABI variants on my to-do, so you want to share, like, and subscribe for me spending more time on not only epic thread ripping overclocking Ryzen, but also ARM variants. I probably should actually build different variants just to have this tested. So maybe I should actually, I currently build 2, or I wanted to build 2 ARM version 5-T and ARM version 7-A. And maybe I should actually build the ARM version 5-T with soft float ABI. Although it's a little bit unfair because it's already the older, less performant variant, but just to test it, right? Because everything that's not tested, and you see, I can build everything, but GCC and Clang, GCC and bin utils are apparently, according to this quick investigation, not defaulting to the hard float ABI that I wanted to, right? So I just need more coffee, as you see here. So read elf-a of hello.a, because I was already wondering that, so yeah, this is a little bit different, right? Do I have the A out still, or did no, they deleted it. So, I mean, we could actually attribute section, because it's a little bit annoying to compare it like that. Let's, because the only thing is it's probably way longer, right? What if I don't know? No. We basically only wanted, this is super, oh, it's actually not that long. Okay, let's save that as Clang. So this will be larger, but we of all this stuff here. But it's also maybe interesting to take a look there, but mostly that is just random noise and not that interesting. So we are after this stuff here. So, but that is also, so we diff from GCC to Clang, and so this is also strange that Actually, this tag conformance and CPU name, why does one have CPU name 7A and the other conformance 209? But anyway, both are CPU Arch version 7. And so Clang is tag FP Arch vector floating point version 3, Neon version 1. And although this is chaos, it is this ARM version stuff, I'm actually not even sure if Neon version 1 is optional or maybe not. And then there is differences in this. Yeah, so there are ABI VFP registers. So I'm not even, and that is the thing, right? Why I also criticize that we now have two compilers, right? I'm not in my office. My office looks different, as you've seen. Not sure why this is relevant though. I'm not always working out of my basement or attic, as some people believe. So, and that is the complexity, right? We with GCC and Clang, because for Firefox we need Clang, and then you're fighting two compilers, right? Not only one compiler to be configured to work perfectly, but two. So, yeah, interesting. So, but that is also good that we took a look here, because I thought it's just a linker flag, but it's actually GCC totally not building how we wanted GCC to build. So then let's take a look at the GCC sources. I only need to hang up here some sound dampening stuff. Actually, probably should order some, because here in my home office the sound is less amazing with a less crowded room. So GCC, ARM. I'm also not sure. I really hate Wi-Fi latency. How can people freaking work over Wi-Fi? Was it not config? Or maybe it didn't. I really hate latency, and Wi-Fi is like. Do I not? Oh, I should. I should plug in some. It's like modern PCs, not even freaking wired Ethernet anymore. Amazing choice. So, is this pre? No, should it not have? So ARM options, there should be some float ABI, not that. So previously it was soft float, but I'm actually not even sure. Specific data model permission was ILP32 versus 5 data model very long pointer 30-bit and LP default depends. Yeah. But yeah, I wonder if I should even live stream all this stuff. Like basically that is a summary. I know we need to go hunt this stuff. Only wonder why this. What was the? But this is that is. Why is sometimes the first character deleted there? is this not a ARM option? Yeah, float ABI. Why did I not see that there? So then let's float ABI. So it is a multi lib option. Thank you very much. So again, we should have configured, or did we not? Maybe I should actually check if we configured correctly for ARM version 7a. GNU. Maybe we should check, or it needs another default. I mean, so I configured for that. That is always surprising. So it looks like they're not even using that the most here. This is why, remember the other video, I was surprised that that even existed. I mean, so much to, so why is the first character sometimes disappearing now? So we have here, but we have here target default float ABI. So why is this ARM? Oh, this is NetBSD 11. Why is this not a Linux thing? This one was NetBSD, as we have seen. Yeah, I really have to wonder why this is not in a more amazing, just working state. Each time I'm surprised. But here is define default float ABI ARM float ABI hard. So maybe this was supposed to default to float ABI hard. Yeah. So basically, it's probably too boring to live stream, to scroll through all the stuff. But long story short, often the stuff is not just working. It is defined differently everywhere. You think you configure it for that. Maybe just, maybe I should check the assembly. Maybe just the nodes are not matching. Maybe. But that would also be a quite severe bug if GCC wouldn't mark the ELF objects. Like that. So yeah, with everything I find here, I'm surprised what I find of not being configured, of this is really all strange. So basically, yeah, it will be another hour of scrolling, grabbing through all the sources. Maybe I give you a summary when I found this, but that is also, the only constant is change and regression, and if you fix one thing, something else breaks. On the plus side, this fixed the GMP build error, and everything else is basically built. The only thing is, all right, I also wanted to update, maybe we do this later, maybe make a second live stream, because there are new Clang and LLVM bug fix releases. And I only wonder if that is, maybe I shouldn't be such a perfectionist. Maybe I should just release it. Because the problem is, if I now update LLVM and Clang and all the other surrounding packages, then theoretically I would need to partially rebuild quite some stuff, and I'm not really sure if I want to do that. Because basically all the builds are done except ARM variants of Rust and Firefox. Yeah, and that is basically another day in the life of a GNU Linux toolchain low-level developer, of spending their time reading configure scripts and trying to figure out what doesn't match up. Give it a thumbs up if you liked this. I hope you learned something. Have a good day or night, and I hope to see you soon with final ISO build and more fixes to come.